Hello and welcome to another episode of the Direct Advisors Retirement Plan Podcast. My name is Stacy Gregory. I'm a plan advisor with Direct Advisors, and in today's podcast, we're going to take a look at whether or not it makes sense for your company to offer both pre-tax and Roth deferral options within your retirement plan. Some of you may already offer Roth deferrals, and others may be considering adding this option. For the majority of the plans we work with, adding a Roth feature is a great way to attract and retain employees. It's a fairly easy option to administer within the plan, assuming the payroll provider you utilize can integrate this feature, of course, and it gives employees flexibility and control over their retirement dollars. But does it make sense for your plan? Let's start by taking a look at the difference between the two. At its simplest, the main difference between pre-tax and Roth deferrals is the timing of when taxes are paid on those dollars. Ultimately, Uncle Sam wants his cut of money at some point. Pre-tax dollars are not taxed now, and instead are taxed later when dollars are withdrawn from the account. Roth dollars, on the other hand, are taxed now, and in exchange, no taxes are due later when the dollars are withdrawn. But which one should your employees do? As I mentioned, when employees sign up to defer money from their paycheck on a pre-tax basis, those dollars are not subject to federal and state taxes in the year that they were deferred. Instead, taxes will be paid on those dollars when they're withdrawn, typically at retirement. For example, if an employee defers $5,000 on a pre-tax basis this year, their taxable income will drop by $5,000 this year. That $5,000 is invested, and let's say it grows to $8,000 over time. When the employee withdraws the $8,000, it will be taxed in the year it was withdrawn. Pre-tax contributions often make sense for those who are more established in their career, making more money now than they did at the beginning of their career. The thought process is, why pay taxes on the money now when you're in a higher tax bracket when you can simply wait and pay the taxes in retirement when you're living off of less money and likely in a lower tax bracket? Just wait and pay the taxes at the lower rate. Roth contributions, on the other hand, are the opposite of this. Dollars that are deferred on a Roth basis are still taxed in the year that they're deferred. As a result, those dollars are not taxable when they're withdrawn in retirement. Using our same example, if an employee defers $5,000 but on a Roth basis, the $5,000 is taxed now, but once it grows to $8,000 and is withdrawn in retirement, not only is the initial $5,000 investment tax-free, but the $3,000 in earnings are tax-free as well. There are some small stipulations here. In order to receive the $3,000 in earnings tax-free, the distribution needs to be qualified. In order for a Roth distribution to be qualified, it must occur after the employee reaches age 59 and a half and at least 5 years after the first day of the calendar year in which the first Roth contribution was made. Roth contributions typically make sense for younger employees just starting out in their careers. The thought process here is that it makes sense to pay taxes on the money now while making less money and in a lower tax bracket than you might be in later in retirement. While there are common scenarios where pre-tax or Roth makes sense for certain employees, it's worth noting that ultimately no one can predict what tax rates will be in retirement. You may think you'll be living off of less money at that time and expect to be in a lower tax bracket, but the IRS can always change tax rates if they'd like. As a result, some employees will implement what's called tax diversification by including both pre-tax and Roth dollars in their account. This can be accomplished if the employer offers employer contributions through something like a company match, a safe harbor contribution, or a profit-sharing contribution, as those dollars are always considered pre-tax, while the employee defers their income on a Roth basis. The employee also has the option to defer dollars on both a pre-tax and Roth basis at the same time. This gives them flexibility come retirement time to pull from whichever bucket of money is most appropriate at that time. Choosing to add a Roth deferral option can be very beneficial to your plan and to your employees. So if you'd like to add this option or wish to discuss it further, don't hesitate to reach out to the team at Direct Advisors. We can be reached by phone at 518-362-2119 or by email at info@directadvisors.com.